And I would say to here in Ralph, I am aware that within St. Vincent and Grenadines, from time to time, you give people who make economic contributions, and we're talking about foreigners who make significant economic contributions, you give them citizenship.
But if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones.
The Citizenship by Investment program in the Eastern Caribbean islands seemed to be on its last leg. And honestly, I am not seeing any possible way that this program could be saved. And after the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, came under heavy criticism for criticizing this program about the sustainability of the program, and that he warned the leaders in the Eastern Caribbean about going all out with this Citizenship by Investment program. And with some new report now coming out from the Washington Post about the American government planning to pull the plug on this program and giving them until Wednesday to fix the program. Was Ralph Gonsalves wrong? Let's talk about it. So I was one of the first person on YouTube to start sounding off the alarm about the Citizenship by Investment program and about the danger of the Caribbean islands that invest in this program, that there's a possibility that this program could be taken away from them. I did a video about a few months ago, and I'll leave the video right here so you can see it. And in that video, I documented like what I knew about this program, and this program was not only under threat by this Donald Trump administration, but I've seen this coming from as far back as 2 years ago with the European Union and with the United Kingdom. And in that video, a lot of people said, you know, this is fake news, like you don't know what you're talking about and stuff like that. And fast forward, now we are in June and this is what is happening. We are steps away from this program being discontinued in the Caribbean. So these are some new information coming out from the Washington Post of another apparent leaked document that came out to the Washington Post that detail the steps that these Caribbean islands are going to have to take by Wednesday in order to not lose this program.
4 of the 5 Eastern Caribbean nations offering Citizenship by Investment CBI programs have found themselves on a new U.S. State Department watch list. Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia are listed in a leaked State Department memo obtained by the Washington Post, which reveals that the Donald Trump administration is reviewing potential visa bans or other restrictions for nationals of 36 additional countries. The 4 Caribbean countries named in the memo have previously defended their CBI programs as legitimate tools for economic development with safeguards including rigorous due diligence. A key concern cited in the memo is the sale of citizenship without a residency requirement. The memo also referenced other issues such as alleged incidents of anti-American activity in the U.S. by nationals of listed countries.
Okay, so that was the leaked memo from the Washington Post. And the line that I want you to pay attention to is this line. The line that says, in the memo is the scale of citizenship without a residency requirement. That is the line I want you to pay attention to. Because in my previous videos, I stated that as one of the danger, one of the reasons cited that they want this program to be discontinued. And also in the first video that I did, I spoke about a very popular African youth who acquired a passport from St. Kitts and Nevis without even setting foot in the island. And that was stated from the European Union way before Donald Trump was even elected, even before we knew that Donald Trump was going to be elected. And I stated that, look, this was bigger than Donald Trump. And I really believe that, like, even if Donald Trump did not win the election and the Democrats were in office, this would have still gone forward, because this is bigger than Donald Trump. This is coming from the European Union. And as I said, I saw articles as far back as 2 years ago, 2023. I've seen articles about this, about the danger of the Citizenship by Investment program. And that is one of the major things that they cite, that, look, there are a lot of people from Asia, from Africa, who want to get access to this visa. And a lot of them, most of them, they are not living in the Caribbean. They're not living in St. Kitts and Nevis. they're not living in Dominica, they're not living in St. Lucia. And the European Union had a big problem with that because the European Union saw that, look, the access for this passport was not because they wanted to go and live in the Caribbean. They wanted access to the passport as a way to get access to Europe, as a way to get access to America. And that is what I cited earlier in my videos leading up to this. And a lot of people were coming in the comment section and saying that this is fake news. But see, this is in the memo as one of the things that's cited. And I know there's a lot of argument, and despite which side you're on this conversation, what the European Union is saying and what the Americans are saying is that, look, the only reason why your passport is valuable to these people who are paying $200,000, $300,000 for your passport is to get access to Europe, is to get access to America. And that is the point that the European Union is trying to make. That's the point that the American government is trying to make. And so what they're saying now is that if we put a visa restriction on you, and it's not necessarily you're not going to be able to go to America, but if you have to go through the same process in St. Kitts and Nevis, in St. Lucia, if you have to go through the same process that Jamaicans have to go through, that people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines have to go through, people from Trinidad and Tobago have to go through, then your passport is no longer going to be valuable. And this was what the Prime Minister of St. Vincent was trying to say. And just let me give you a reminder of what Ralph Gonsalves said a few months ago.
I have warned this country about the dangers of selling our passports and selling our citizenship. I don't want to go through all the arguments now because you know them, you're listening to me. I said I'm opposed to selling the passports and the citizenship in principle. I'm opposed on the grounds of practicality. I'm opposed on the grounds that it is not sustainable and that it is reckless to run your country's finances on selling passport and citizenship. No. You see the Americans under President Trump saying that has to come to an end. Yeah, Canada is the same thing. Britain, they start to say they're taking away. You have to apply for visa now from certain of those countries. And the Europeans now have put it inside of their parliament. Parliamentary committee in the European Union Parliament has already addressed that question. It's going through the parliamentary process. It's just a matter of time. I saw it coming. It took a little longer because they give them some time to clean up. But I know that the money is so sweet for everybody. They weren't going to do any cleanup. Because they really, really clean up, there's not a lot of money.
Yes, so that was what the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines said. And I know that a lot of the leaders within the Eastern Caribbean weren't happy about what the Prime Minister of St. Vincent came out and said. But the reality is that what the Prime Minister came out and said had nothing to do with what is going on now. He said he warned them about it. He warned them that it's not sustainable. But him coming out publicly and saying that did not add to what they're going through now. As I said, this would have happened with or without Donald Trump. This would have happened eventually because this have been coming through the pipeline for over 2 years. And if there was an article, if I could have seen an article 2 years ago that this could happen, I'm sure the government in these Caribbean islands would have gotten notification long before that to say, look, fix the program. Because if you look at this program, you realize that Grenada is not on the list, and Grenada is one of the islands with the citizenship by investment program. So it is obvious that Grenada heed to what was said, and they took step to change their program, and that is why they're not on the list. So I know the Prime Minister of St. Vincent came out and said it, And I know a lot of the leaders within the Eastern Caribbean was not happy with it, but Gaston Browne was the one that chose to come out and to push back on what the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines said. And this is what the Prime Minister of Antigua Barbuda, Gaston Browne, this is how he pushed back.
Different than the one in Canada. It's no different than those in the European Union. I also want to say to Ralph that we have not published a single application without appropriate due diligence, which includes international due diligence agencies and regional institutions, global institutions, including Interpol and impacts here within the Caribbean region, or JRCC for that matter. So this notion that there's a lot of corruption and we are processing applications without due diligence and so on, I want to say certainly in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, your information is flawed. And even if, Ralph, you are speculating that there may be corruption in other programs, I do not appreciate your literally treating us with a broad brush and to implicate one of the best run investment immigration programs in the world, the Antiguan and Barbudan program, with the type of adjectives and mismanagement and corruption that you're talking about. And I would say to here, Ralph, I am aware that within St. Vincent and Grenadines, from time to time, you give people who make economic contributions, and we're talking about foreigners who make significant economic contributions, you give them citizenship. It's an extremely unfortunate and irresponsible statement coming from Ralph, and you must respect the sovereign decision of these four countries. If you choose to have our CIP program, that has nothing to do with you. You choose not to have one, we respect your decision.
Trump has one.
And look at the situation there, for example, with Trump. So why you don't say that the $5 million CIP program that Trump is introducing is corrupt? How come intrinsically you're going to now point to your colleague programs and say they're corrupt? And look, even if there are abuses in these programs in the past, the reality is all of us have now come together. We are forming this regional regulatory body to regulate our programs. These programs have matured. And I will even accept that perhaps in some of the programs they may not have been as vigilant as they ought to, and maybe certain unfortunate things may have happened. But it's not that leaders in this region are intrinsically involved in any corruption and trying to facilitate corrupt players. And that's the implication of what Ralph would have said. Now, the fact that we have come together now and that we are harmonizing our programs and we are making sure that there's better cooperation and collaboration. The United States, for example, gave us 6 points that we introduced in our program to our respective programs in order to strengthen our programs. We're working with the European Union and the Brits. And having been involved in this level of international collaboration and cooperation to strengthen our programs, why would Ralph see it fit to go there and to tear down our programs?
So that was the Prime Minister of Antigua Barbuda, Gaston Browne, and him pushing back about what the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines had to say about the program. And one thing I can say is that we in the Caribbean, from the other islands, we can just be spectators and we can watch what is going on. But the real thing is going to come down to the people of the islands that are affected. How are they going to take this? Is this going to show up like in the next election? Are they going to be upset about their leaders going this far and end up losing the program? So I don't know. But one thing I would say, I think what the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne, I think his statement was a bit disingenuous, because what he's comparing what they're doing in Antigua Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, to what he was saying that Ralph Gonsalves would have, give people citizenship in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because of certain amount of money that they spend. I think that is disingenuous, because the thing is, like most Caribbean islands, it happened a lot in Jamaica. Like 99.9% of the hotels in Jamaica are not owned by Jamaicans. There are a lot of amusement parks. There are a lot of restaurants that are not owned by Jamaicans. A lot of these places are owned by Americans. Same thing in St. Vincent. There are businesses that are owned by Americans. There are businesses that are owned by Europeans, businesses that are owned by other Caribbean nationals. And what is very commonplace in the Caribbean is if someone is coming to your island and they're going to invest, say like $100 million in building a hotel, you are going to give them citizenship automatically. So that is different from someone purchasing a passport for $200,000 and never set foot in the island. That is very different. So I thought that the Prime Minister, his statement was very disingenuous, because the two, you can't compare the two. You can't compare St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Prime Minister allowing a business person to come in and to invest millions of dollars, and with that, they would get citizenship, with someone paying $250,000 or $200,000 just to get your passport, and they never set foot on the island. So that is just my thought. But guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know what are your thoughts about this. Do you think that, who do you think is to be blamed about what is going on now with the Citizenship by Investment program? And as I said, with the real danger, I cannot see a way where this program is going to be saved. Sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.